Welcome back, and don't forget to give us a digital high five and subscribe. The Shakri'aya Chronicles, Wrath of the Forgotten, the ancient portal, immovable, etched with timeless glyphs, and pulsating with an otherworldly energy, stood as a silent sentinel in the heart of the Peruvian jungle. Moments ago, Hastings, Patel, Ortiz, and Ramirez had stepped through its swirling depths with the hope of retrieving another piece of the scattered artifact. Instead of the barren, lifeless landscape they anticipated, a violent cacophony of sound and movement greeted them on the other side. As the team emerged, their boots sinking into a rugged, sun-scorched terrain, they found themselves in a world transformed. What had once been silent ruins now teemed with life. An indigenous primitive civilization had claimed these ancient remnants as sacred ground. The air vibrated with the steady beat of war drums, and distant voices rose in fierce, determined chants. This was not a land of quiet decay, but a battleground where the echoes of forgotten wars still held sway. The transition was immediate. No sooner had the team stepped through the portal than they were met with a barrage of shouts and the rapid clashing of weapons. Tribal warriors, clad in rugged hides, decorated with scars and symbols of their ancestors, descended upon the explorers with spears, clubs, and primitive shields. The team instinctively raised their weapons, their training kicking in as they prepared for a fight they never saw coming. Hastings barked a terse command, "Defensive positions, now!" The team formed a tight circle, their modern gear stark against the raw, elemental force of their attackers. The ground, a cracked mosaic of sun-baked earth and scattered debris from ancient structures, trembled under the pounding of tribal drums. The warriors' war cries, punctuated by the rhythmic pounding of their feet, reverberated through the air, creating a haunting, primal symphony. In the midst of the melee, the clash of metal and stone filled the space. Patel ducked behind a crumbling column as a spear whistled past her head, while Ramirez fired controlled, non-lethal rounds to push back the advancing foes. Ortiz, ever the opportunist, found himself both fighting and searching, his trained eyes scanning the chaos for any sign of the clue or a piece of the artifact. The battle was raw, unyielding, and every second counted. As the team engaged in a desperate skirmish, a fierce, proud people who had inherited the ruins and molded them into the heart of their culture. The warrior's attire was simple yet powerful, a mix of natural furs and bones, adorned with ritualistic paint and symbols reminiscent of the ancient glyphs carved into the portal itself. Their leader, a formidable figure with eyes burning with ancestral fire, stepped forward. His voice, deep and resonant, boomed over the din of battle as he demanded, in a tongue that combined authority with ancient cadence, that the intruders leave his sacred land at once. The primitive leader's words, though foreign, carried an unmistakable warning. In response, Hastings attempted to speak, his tone measured and calm. "We mean you no harm. We are seekers of knowledge, not enemies of your people." But the leader's suspicion was unyielding, and the air crackled with escalating tension. Negotiation gave way to renewed violence. The tribal warriors surged forward as a collective force, their battle cries intensifying. In the midst of this chaos, the team fought not only for their survival, but also to secure any remnant of the clue that might guide them to the next piece of the artifact. The confrontation reached a fever pitch as the team executed a series of defensive maneuvers. Hastings, taking command on the front lines, coordinated with terse precision. "Cover the flanks. Patel, Ortiz, secure that area near the broken arch," he ordered, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Ramirez's shots rang out in controlled bursts, each one carefully aimed to subdue rather than to kill. The team's modern weapons clashed with the crude, but no less effective armaments of the warriors. Every moment was a blur of movement and sound. The sharp crack of a rifle shot, the guttural shouts of the attackers, the metallic clang as a shield met an energy barrier, and the shuffling footfalls over rough terrain. Amid this furious melee, Ortiz's attention was drawn to a partially collapsed structure at the edge of the battlefield, a relic from an ancient civilization long past. It was here, in the debris of forgotten glory, that Ortiz believed the clue might be hidden. As he fought his way toward the edifice, his mind raced with possibilities. This is it. I can feel it, he muttered between exchanges of fire and close-quarter combat. Meanwhile, Patel moved with a calculated urgency. She and Ortiz formed a brief, silent understanding. Amid the chaos, they had to secure the object of their search, even if it meant risking further conflict. With each swing of a spear and each shout of a warrior, the ruins revealed more of their secrets, fragments of inscriptions, broken screens of ancient holograms, and the faint pulse of energy from a hidden clue. As the battle raged on, Ramirez and Hastings provided cover, holding off the relentless tide of warriors with disciplined precision. Ortiz finally reached the shattered remains of the ancient structure. With trembling hands and focused determination, he began to clear away debris, uncovering a recessed chamber partially hidden beneath fallen stone. Within it, a small, intricately carved tablet pulsed with a soft, ethereal glow, an unmistakable sign of advanced technology mingled with ancient artistry. "Patel, I found it!" Ortiz called out, his voice a mix of triumph and urgency. "The clue! It's here!" Patel rushed to his side, her eyes widening as she observed the tablet. "These symbols, they're unlike any I've seen before," she whispered, tracing her fingers along the delicate carvings. This record could be a key to unlocking not just the next piece, but the entire puzzle of the Shakri'aya artifact. But even as they celebrated this small victory, the battle was far from over. The tribal warriors, having regrouped and incited by their leader's defiant roar, surged toward the ancient structure. Their shouts grew louder, and the ground vibrated with renewed aggression. The team knew that securing the clue meant not only extracting it from the rubble, but also defending it from those who believed it belonged to them. Hastings barked, "Fall back, regroup at the rendezvous point." The order was clear. The team had to withdraw and take the clue back to the base, even as the sound of tribal drums and clashing weapons filled the air. In the ensuing chaos, the team fought a hasty rearguard action. Ramirez led a protective charge, covering their retreat with precise, non-lethal suppressive fire. Patel and Ortiz clutched the tablet close, retreating through the rubble-strewn battlefield while Hastings covered their flank. The primitive warriors, fueled by ancestral fervor, pressed relentlessly, their battle cries echoing like thunder. The soundscape of battle, a cacophony of shouts, drum beats, and the clashing of weapons, wove an intense, relentless tapestry. Every footfall and every breath was laden with the urgency of survival. After what seemed like an eternity of fierce combat, the team finally broke through the dense line of attackers and retreated to a temporary safe zone, a rocky outcrop overlooking the battlefield. There, amidst the lingering dust and the fading echoes of war, the team paused to catch their breath. The tablet, now securely held by Ortiz and guarded by Patel, pulsed softly in the twilight. Hastings, his uniform stained with the grit and sweat of battle, surveyed the scene with a hardened gaze. "We secured the clue, but this is only the beginning," he murmured, his voice carrying the weight of hard-won lessons. "They won't let this go easily." The primitive warriors, though momentarily stalled by the team's disciplined withdrawal, still lurked in the shadows, their war drums beating a defiant rhythm. The leader's defiant shout could be heard even from a distance, a promise of retribution and a declaration that this land was sacred. The tension in the air was palpable as the team prepared to leave the battlefield. The sound of distant drums slowly faded into the background, replaced by the somber rustling of wind through the ruins. Each member's heart pounded with both adrenaline and the grim realization that this conflict was far from over. Back at the secret base, the atmosphere shifted to a more subdued tone. The team was debriefed in a secure, private chamber away from prying ears. The digital display showed only cryptic symbols and minimal data, no elaborate breakdown, just the undeniable fact that the clue was now in their possession. General Marcus Richards' voice, calm yet unyielding, filled the room. "The ancient tablet is now our asset. It contains information we must decipher to locate the remaining pieces of the Shakri'aya artifact. But remember, the people of that land will not easily give up what they consider sacred. We must be prepared for further conflict. His words, though measured, carried an undercurrent of determination and forewarning. The team exchanged glances, each face etched with both exhaustion and a resolute commitment to the mission ahead. In a brief, quiet moment away from the chaos, Hastings stood alone in a dimly lit corridor. The echoes of battle still reverberated in his mind as he recalled the savage intensity of the encounter. He thought of the primitive leader's fierce eyes, the raw, unbridled passion of a people fighting for their heritage. In that moment, he recognized the collision of worlds, modern science versus ancient tradition, a conflict that was destined to shape the future of their quest. The pace quickened once more as new orders came in. General Richards briefed the team on the next steps. "We have a clue, but now we must prepare for a deeper engagement. Our objective is to secure more information from the heart of that civilization's territory. Expect increased hostilities and anticipate that they may resort to all means to reclaim what they view as theirs." The urgency was palpable. The team was given a short window to recover, regroup, and ready themselves for the upcoming expedition into enemy territory. Ortiz's mind buzzed with technical analysis and wild theories about the ancient civilization's technology. His earlier astonishment had evolved into a fervent drive to understand the inexplicable. Patel meticulously pored over the inscriptions on the tablet, noting patterns that suggested hidden layers of meaning. As the team prepared their gear and rechecked their equipment, Ramirez secured his weapons with a silent determination that spoke volumes of the personal battles he'd fought before. Every member was acutely aware that they were now caught in a collision between past and present, tradition and innovation, where every step forward risked sparking a larger, more devastating conflict. The team, now battle-weary yet unwavering, was scheduled to return to the ancient portal for their next mission. With the secured clue in hand, they stood at the base's portal chamber, a hallowed threshold between two vastly different worlds. The chamber was lit by the steady, eerie glow of the portal, a constant reminder of the mysteries that lay beyond. General Richards' final words rang in their ears: "Prepare for the next phase. The secrets of the Shakri'aya are unfolding before us, but they demand sacrifice and vigilance." With that, the team gathered their equipment and, in a silent, determined procession, stepped once more toward the portal. As they entered, the sound of ancient machinery and the low hum of mysterious energy enveloped them. The portal's stone surface bore the scars of millennia, and its glyphs pulsed with the promise of revelations yet to come. There was no turning back now. Their path was set. The promise of war. With a lingering sense of tension and anticipation, in the aftermath of the brutal encounter, the team is left with the heavy knowledge that the ancient civilization's defenders will not rest. The recorded clash, a fusion of modern tactics and raw elemental combat, echoes as a reminder that the quest for the Shakri'aya artifact is as dangerous as it is profound. A low, menacing drumbeat's final auditory cue resonates in the background, hinting at the tribal warriors regrouping and planning their next move. In the heart of ancient ruins and the clash of civilizations, the echoes of the past rise to meet the future. The battle is only beginning. Make sure to tune in again as our adventure continues across the galaxy. Don't forget to high five. See you next time.